We had a great acrylic painting class yesterday, and I thought I'm going to make a video of this and share it because it's a technique that is so much fun. We call it stamping and stenciling, and it is a really wonderful breakthrough type exercise for anybody who is beginning to paint or wants to kind of loosen up their painting skills. So I'm going to show you what materials you'll need for this, and then I'll show you how to make a stencil and stamped painting. So this is what I have assembled for the stamp and stencil painting. I have here it's a piece of plexiglass that's been covered with aluminum foil. I find that this is a good way to go because if I have any leftover paint, I can save it by folding it up and putting it in the freezer. So what I have here color-wise is kind of interesting. A lot of these colors are fluorescent colors. Now they're kind of new to the market, and I got them the other day and I find them to be really beautiful, beautiful colors. There's a fluorescent yellow, pink, two different kinds of oranges, and then I also have a blue here and a purple, and then a kind of a red up here, and then a sienna here, and then white. And you'll see that these are in a puddle. They are what's called flow type acrylics. That is, they are liquid, and they're going to be just fine for this technique. Then over here I have some paper towels and 3 or 4 different kinds of flat type brushes. I have a container of water here. I have some natural sponges, about 3 or 4 of them there, some blue masking tape. Then I also have my canvas. And you can see here, I have made some stencils out of a heavy paper. This is like a cardstock, and they're in a variety of shapes. There is a boat. Now we're a coastal town, so we love the beachy type subject matter. So I have some seagrass here, a palm tree, a shell here, a hibiscus fish, another shell down here. And you can see I've cut these out with an X-Acto knife. Very, very simple to do. You can also use a small scissor. Dip the sponge into some of this lovely fluorescent paint. And start stenciling the shapes. I'm overlapping these shapes and I'm changing the color just by dipping the sponge into different paint. How about some fish shapes now? And the nice thing is that when you fill up the canvas with all these different shapes, you begin to see certain designs start to appear, and that's when it starts getting really interesting. I'm working to cover the whole canvas, and then I'm going to look and see how these shapes integrate. The grass stencil again. How about some palm trees? I'll bring in the flowers again too. Shell shape again. This time the shape is going to be red. Now I can start thinking about what images I want to keep and what images I want to change. I want to just make a little frame on this, so I'm going to take some masking tape and tape some of the edges. And what this will do is contain the design a little bit, which is a nice effect. So what I decided here is to make fish the main subject matter. So I've used this particular stencil to make all these shapes. And now I think I want to bring some light into it. So I can just go over these to change the composition. see if I can get some more light. There may be some areas that I just want to take the sponge and make it a little lighter. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to kind of bring this composition a little more together, make it a little simpler, but still give it a lot of color. And see if I can play a light side of this against a dark side. So I'm just using the sponge to bring in a blue and take some of the bright color. Putting some of the fish shapes back, I'm going to use a darker color because it's darker on this side. See how that looks. You can see that you can do a lot of experimenting this way. And if it doesn't work, you can just take it out and put something else in. So what's developing here is a dark area being played against the light area. It's like the fish are sort of swimming into a dark area, and it's much simpler. There aren't so many shapes. So your eye can actually focus on the movement of the fish and not be all over the place by so many very different shapes. And when you get to this point, you want to simplify certain areas and make choices on what you want to emphasize and what you want to keep. I'm liking this composition. I'm thinking I'm just about done. Sometimes when you do this, you'll notice that there's a pattern caused by the stamping. You want to kind of change your sponge around when you stamp so you don't get that pattern. And a brush comes in really handy just to break that up a little bit. And I'm thinking that this violet color is going to work better, and in sponging this on, I might leave just some of the underlying green to show through as a contrast. So you can see you can get a lot of really interesting colors and effects using this simple method. And the texture that is produced by the sponge is really quite lovely. And you end up with a whole bunch of colors, almost impressionistic, greens and oranges and reds all together.